Morning, everybody. I think we're organised now. And thank you for coming.
That's okay.
Anne is our host, and I'm going to introduce her in a moment. So a couple of quick housekeeping things before we do. Could somebody please do me a favour and just pop something in the chat to confirm that you can hear us okay, that the audio is working? That would be awesome if you wouldn't mind doing that. I know everybody's like, oh, someone else will. Oh, good. Thank you very much for doing that, whoever that was. Teresa, thank you. Awesome. Thank you, Ryan. All right, so let me introduce you to Anne, and then we'll talk about what Anne's going to talk about. So Anne is the college owner here at Global Training, and she has been the college owner here for quite a while, haven't you?
Oh, I know, no, 16 years. So yeah, the college has been running for 16 years. So we've got thousands of graduates, and we've got over 1,000 students now, all based around Australia. So we've been here a long time.
And Anne's going to explain sort of later on in terms of the wage subsidy and the courses that you can go to get the wage subsidy. But you guys have been delivering courses. Like the pandemic didn't make much difference to your delivery method, did it? You have been delivering real life online courses for quite a while and getting good results.
Yeah, so basically our students have always been existing workers, usually over 28 in their 30s, 40s and 50s. And people that have got experience but didn't necessarily have the qualifications to back up that experience. And so we've worked with them as they've progressed their career and different things. So yeah, we've been around long enough that we've had people come back. So the other one the day was somebody who was a student with us in 2009. Wow. Yeah, so Cameron's back again now doing a much higher level qualification, but he still remembers the training room, the books that we gave him, he still uses the materials that we gave him now as he's just progressed through his career. Got a lot of others that have been leading hands with us and then progressed their careers, now finished their MBAs and sort of managing companies and things. So over the years, we've seen lots of our students keep coming back. And
so how big is the organisation? Who's that handsome fellow in the photo?
So it's my husband Shane. So Shane's a civil engineer and is the training manager. So we've got over 40 team members with us here. Really, really, really passionate trainers. They're just absolutely fabulous to be with. We had graduation last week, and that was great. So we had 160 something or other students graduate, and that was since our last one in April. Graduation, and they all made their hats and gowns and different things, and so yeah, it was great. So it was done on Zoom. Again, we got to eat the cake here at the office, and they didn't. So we still had graduation cake and a lot of fun. But yeah, great team of passionate trainers, and the students get so many benefits out of it.
And you said you've got 40 staff, and you are going to explain how some of those staff you actually got because of this wage subsidy.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So we've got lots of projects happening and different things there.
So just one more quick housekeeping thing while I think of it is you're happy to answer questions as you go through.
Yeah, sure.
So if anyone wants to, as you go, if you want to drop any questions in the chat or in the Q&A, if you don't want other people to see your question, pop them in the Q&A. If they're public, pop them in the chat. I will read them to Anne, make sure she answers them. If ones we haven't done, we'll make sure we cover at the end before we finish. It's going to be about 30 minutes or so, probably, plus some time for questions, but we'll stay until we've answered everyone's questions. And a lot of this stuff, you'll hear it and you'll go, really, is that right? So feel free to clarify, ask all the questions, because, we've been living and breathing this stuff for a while now. So happy to have it, try and translate it into English.
Living and breathing, and with many other happy companies who are benefiting from this, though.
Yeah, it's true, very true. Okay, so what is it? What is this thing we're talking about?
Okay, so it's called Boosting Apprenticeship Commencements, but don't worry about the name because it doesn't relate to boosting, it doesn't relate to apprenticeships, and it really doesn't relate to commencements. So, and it's not just for apprentices. So, okay, what happens is the government has got a 50% wage subsidy going up to $28,000. So that's from the federal government. Per employees that participates in professional development. And
now, can I just ask you a question?
Yes.
If you're in, say, New South Wales right now and you're getting JobSaver 40% already, this is different from that?
Absolutely. This is different to that. So this is a federal government dollars, and you can have federal and you can have state funding.
And you can get both.
And you can get both. So
that's a bit exciting. If you're in New South Wales, you could be getting like a 90% wage subsidy, right?
Yeah, yes, definitely. So you can get up to 50% on this program and then up to 40% on the other. On your other one, yes, we have the details and can provide you the details for JobSaver, but you will need to confirm that with your accountant because I just know about training. and not necessarily your individual business situation.
But basically, this is additional additional to any state?
This is additional to any state things, and we do have a sheet that we can provide for state.
Okay, and how much do they get again?
Okay, so up to 50% of the wages per person, so that's up to $7,000 per quarter, so up to $28,000 a year for any of your employees that fit the eligibility criteria and participate in one of the courses.
And it runs for 12 months.
And 12 months, yes. And no, you don't have to pay it back if your employee happens to leave. It would just stop at that time. Because everybody asks me that same question. Do I have to ever pay it back? No.
You might as well answer it before you
so I'll answer that one right up front.
Okay, great. And new workers and existing workers?
Yeah, new and existing. We'll explore both of those. Not for all of your people, but definitely, yeah, there are some, and companies are definitely benefiting, and the people are benefiting the existing workers as well.
Okay, so what's it about? How did it come about?
All right. So what's happened is that the government has put this program together. They're running it through because they have to have someone to administer it. So they're putting it through the apprenticeship centres, which is why, and they've called it Boosting Apprenticeship Commencements. But everybody in the industry just calls it back because it's not about boosting or apprentices or commencements. So what they released at the end of last year, and very quickly got taken up. 70,000 places got consumed really, really quickly. So the government went, pink bats, so we better scale this in a bit.
When you say pink bats,
So what they did is they pulled it in a bit. So people may have heard that it's only for new workers now, but it isn't. It's for new and existing. They've got this little tiny list of existing employees that still suit. So
and you're going to explain that.
And I'll explain that too as well. So what they've done then is brought another bunch of, because the program has worked really well. In May this year for the budget, they've put an extra $2.7 billion into the program.
Wow.
So the government is really backing this program. And they've extended it. It was going to finish at the end of this month, but they've extended it till March next year. So and then the course options have been changing in different things as well.
Okay. So basically, if you've signed up now, will you only get your money until March, or?
No, so you've got between now and March to sign up, but we're fully recommending everybody get in now because the government does changes. We just saw changes yesterday, and some of the companies will, miss out because they weren't quick enough to get their approvals through. So we are recommending, but you have got until March. So if you're looking at putting on new people between now and March, then definitely, keep this in mind for them. And if you've got existing employees, we need to look at those very quickly and get them in.
And I know you're going to explain this in a minute. Basically, if you've had anybody start since June, then you should be looking at it for them as well.
Absolutely, yes. And we'll cover why it's good for everybody here in a moment.
Okay.
Okay, so this is just a slide to show that, yes, it's real. Fully fledged government doobie lackey. That's a program that's out there at the moment and benefits businesses and employees.
But a government letterhead just.
Yeah, government letterhead just.
Okay, so let's talk about who it benefits.
Yeah, it's a win for each of those. So the government is really backing it. They know that we have to upskill our economy, and they know that we need to be boosting employment during this time. And this provides certainty for you as a business owner, as well as the employees. Because the program goes for 12 months, the employees get the certainty that they've got the job for the next 12 months. And that the government knows that you're going to keep them on, because the last thing they want is more people at the Centrelink offices and those horrible lines that just keep getting shown over and over and over again. That's not good for publicity.
So it's good for the economy. It's
great for the economy. It does. It helps reduce, and they've really looked at the target areas that they're wanting to be upskilling people in as well.
Okay, so what's in it for the employers apart from money, obviously, which is nice?
Okay, so for you, an employer, if you've put on new people, or you want people that you're coming to keep, then this is great for you, because you've put them on. This will give them the certainty to say that, hi, if I'm working with this on a program for the next 12 months, I'm not going to go and look somewhere else.
Yeah.
They're going to be learning about, because all of our assessments work on your own company policy and procedures. They'll be learning more about your company. Anyone that's new is going to be very much wanting to keep you happy as well and do a good job, because they're new employees at your company. But it provides lots of job stability for them. For you as a business owner, innovation comes when you got people looking and learning. So much benefit of just upskilling your own people for career pathing and everything as well.
So speaking of career pathing and things for people, so I can understand the employer would go, right, great, we'll have skilled people and we get money for it.
Yeah.
The employee is going to have to do some work though. Why would they want to do it?
Okay, for them, they are looking for progression, and personal development. We just see it all the time. So about 170 whatever graduated last week, it's that they've learnt so much. It's their career, it's their future. It's such a positive experience for them, and to be given the opportunity by the company is they really appreciate and benefit.
Okay, that's awesome. So who's eligible? That's what people are going to want to know now.
Okay, so who's eligible for the program? So all employers, any employer, any size, any industry, any location. So it's Australia-wide because it's federal, and the people that can participate is Australian citizens, Kiwis that have been here longer than 6 months. We're not let they can't go home.
So we've all been here that long.
Yeah, they've all been here nearly that long. Okay, and it's not just for your new or junior staff, professionals and experienced staff can participate as well. So who's not eligible is anyone that is state and federal government organisations and departments, and if you're here on a skills visa.
Right, and if you're a sole trader with no employees.
Yeah, so sole traders, no employees, and probably directors of companies. You've got to actually be an employee.
Okay.
But the business owner can certainly help because they supervise the others.
So you're saying it's not just for new or junior staff?
Yeah.
So typically who might be somebody, the typical student that you would sign up in this program?
All right, so probably all right, so some of these that are coming through this last couple of days, yesterday and the end of last week, 28-year-olds, 35-year-olds, 45-year-olds, 55-year-olds, from each of the different states. So
okay, so they're definitely not just kids.
No, definitely not just 17, 18-year-olds. They're eligible as well, but yeah.
Okay, so I know you wanted to show people this calculation that you did.
Yeah. Okay, so we're working with companies that are putting on 1 person, 2 people. We've got some that have got on 5, and if they've got, so this is after paying any course fees. Not everybody has to pay course fees.
You'll explain that in a minute.
Yeah, and I'll explain that in a moment. But if you've got 5 people, this is worst case scenario. If you've got 5 people on, then yeah, there's $111,000 into your budget that you can get to use.
So that's worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario.
If you had to pay for everything and didn't get any other incentives,
yeah,
you'd still get $111,000 cash in your bank.
Yes.
Nice.
And you don't have to account for it in any way. Others people say, if I've got to use it for things. No, we've got people using it for all sorts of their areas. We've got a lot of employers that are putting on extra staff with it and doing projects and things. And
you've been doing it.
Yeah, we've been doing that ourselves. We've expanded our staff, and they've been updating training materials and looking at automation here within the organisation. So things that, yeah, a project that we would potentially have put off, we've been able to bring forward because of the wage. Help with wages and skilling for those people. And then, yeah, so we've definitely got companies that are putting on 10 people and more, and some that are looking at your 20. So it's depending what size, but yeah, if you've got 1 person,
still fine.
Perfectly fine. Yeah, great. Yeah, so yeah, talk to us. We give you a account manager, the person from the office here that will work through this whole process with you. And yeah, so we're
okay, and actually that's the first question that we've got, which is how do I know if my person's eligible?
Okay, so we have a quiz that you can actually just quickly run them through the quiz. But if they're an Australian citizen and or a permanent resident, they're basically going to be eligible.
Right, awesome. So you were saying before about them not just being kids, and here's a few numbers that support that.
So yeah, 20% for over 35-year-olds, 40% small businesses. So yeah, it's not just for the big businesses. Little tiny businesses can do it as well, as long as you've got an employee and that meets the different criteria. And anyone that you're putting on for the new workers, fits there too.
Some interesting numbers down the bottom there about the skills shortage too.
Yeah, so they are, so they're getting paid well still, and there's a lot of jobs out there. So if you are looking for people, and it might get tougher than actually get them on and keep them.
Yeah.
The wage subsidies helps, and then for all those jobs that are over 100,000, if you can get $28,000 back,
yeah,
that certainly makes a big difference there too. So it may even allow you to pay a little bit extra for people for the next 12 months.
And attract the person that you want.
And attract the person that you want as well.
Okay, so let's talk about existing employees. I know there's a lot of confusion about that, not helped by the fact that the rules keep getting tightened.
Yes.
But at the moment, this week, what courses can existing employees do? And we might actually skip forward to where that list comes from, and then we'll come back to the courses.
Yes, okay. So there's a tiny, when they closed it and tightened it last year, they left a tiny little list called trade-based apprenticeships. And on this list, it's called an Appendix I, and there's just a few sort of qualifications on it. So if you do dog grooming, then that's on there. There's a pastry chef on there, and I did find a new one on there that's been updated to cyber security.
Right.
So I personally don't train dog grooming, pastry chefing, or cyber security. Well, we might cyber security, but I don't know very much about it.
Maybe not dog grooming either.
No. So you probably wouldn't want me training in those ones. So on the
courses that you
courses that we've got on that list is workplace health and safety. And in this whole world of pandemic and everything, every business needs workplace health and safety.
So not necessarily every person in your business.
No.
But you could put some people through.
Yes, every business needs at least one or two people who've got workplace health and safety knowledge, because it's the health as well at the moment. We all know what's happening with mental health out there at the moment. And as an organisation, we need to be, business owners, we need to be taking care of our people. Mm-hmm. So our policies and procedures have got to show how we are taking care of mental health of people at the moment. If you've got people working from home, then they are all classed as home-based business, home-based workplaces. So we've now gone from one workplace to many workplaces that we are responsible for.
Plus just your actual pandemic, like COVID
all our COVID safety plans and everything as well. We've all got to be, unfortunately, updating these things. So what will happen is, if you haven't updated everything, put some people on this very quickly program, because they'll be updating it as part of their assessments and things.
So what you're saying is, if you've got existing workers that have worked for you for ages,
yes,
you can put some of them on a certificate forum, workplace health and safety, as an online course.
Yep.
And get a $28,000 wage subsidy for them. So this is not new employees. This might be someone who's been your office manager for 20 years or something like that.
So they've got to show that they're either going to be writing your policy and procedures, or that they are actively involved in workplace health and safety, or they're really, as part of their job, having to follow those safety procedures. So it won't match every single admin person that you've got in your office, or every customer service person over the phone. But we've definitely got companies coming through with many people, especially if they're outdoor staff and different things as well. But we have got across industries, and the government is really recognising at the moment the issues around workplace health and safety. And
we've had some, like, team leader of real estate agents who's responsible for health and safety of the open houses and things, haven't we?
Yeah.
So it's not just construction.
No, so it is not just construction.
But speaking of construction, that is the other course that you've got.
Yes, so civil construction, so anyone in building and mostly civil construction though, so that can be road, water, tunnels, dams, bridges, anyone that's in a leading hand, a supervisor, project manager, superintendent sort of role or above. If they haven't got that, grab them and get them on this program, because it's great for the company for meeting all of their requirements for training onto major projects. It's great for the people because it actually career paths them and recession proofs them in the future as well. So it's a great, so if you're any civil construction sort of companies, then talk to us about those people as well. But the workplace health and safety
is going to be the main one.
Is the main one that we're doing. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a question about how the cost of the course compares to the wage subsidy. I think that's coming up in about 2 seconds, Tanya. So if it doesn't, I'll make sure that Anne answers it for you. Okay, so new employees, because there are a lot more courses available for new employees, aren't they?
Yes.
So do you just want to talk us through these, like what categorises somebody as a new employee?
Okay, so somebody that you've hired in the last 90 days is a new employee. Right. So less than 90 days, permanent full-time or permanent part-time. Casuals being upgraded from part-time or to full-time, no longer how they've been there. So there's just a little bit of changing in the states around that one. Just let us know when you're working with us what state you're in, and we'll help you define that if you're moving your casuals. But we've got a lot of companies moving people from casual up to part-time or full-time at the moment, well, because the wage subsidy is good for this. And as employers, we also have to watch the HR issue of, were they really casual or were they actually part-time anyway?
Right. So what you're saying is if you've got sort of permanent casuals, whatever people call them,
Yeah,
don't take advice from us, but that the industrial relations advice may well be that they're actually technically part-timers anyway.
we're technically part-timers anyway, so this is a great opportunity
And,
to.
as long as they're doing 60 hours a month,
Yep.
then you could get a 50% wage subsidy for them if you change them to part-time.
Yeah,
That's
so we
great.
have had a couple of people who have gone back and talked to their IR firms and things to clarify, is this person really? Yeah, because they did have a kind of a steady roster system, and there was
not very casual, really.
It wasn't very casual. Therefore, they were part timers, so you may as well move them across and take the benefit of it.
Yeah, and if you're going to get half the wages paid, why not?
Why not?
Okay, so courses. There's quite a few courses you can.
Yeah, it is, and you'll see on both sides there. We've got the Certificate 4 courses and we've got diploma courses. So in the Certificate 4 level, you may look at some of your junior staff or your more inexperienced staff into business project management. So project management is if they're part of the project team, where at the diploma project management, they're directing the project.
Right.
So that's kind of a simple one there. Workplace health and safety, you've got to do it first before you do a diploma. New small business, we've got quite a few people that are putting on entrepreneurship one. Yeah, they're putting on people to help drive the marketing and sales in their business. So for leadership management, looking at your team leaders and your supervisors at that level, civil supervision. Then the diploma level, if you're any of your management people, HR, project management and things like that. So
if you've hired a new manager in the last 3 months, you could put them on a diploma of leadership and management and get $28,000.
Yes,
their wages.
Absolutely.
Nice. Okay. All right. So how much? Thank you, Tony, for that question. So the question was, how does the cost of the course compare to the wage subsidy?
Okay, so it depends again as to what state you're in. So typically our courses range from $5,000 to $7,000. As the employer, you are responsible of paying for the participants' training. So if you are in New South Wales and it's a new worker, then it is absolutely free. The government pays for it. So we say thank you very much to the New South Wales government for their funding of that. If you're in the construction industry in Queensland, then you're going to have subsidy, and we say thank you very much to the CSQ for anyone in that industry, because they'll fund about up to half. So in worst case scenario, you're going to keep at least $20,000 per person, plus there's extra incentives for the business as well.
Like what?
Payroll tax deductions, you get different discounts on your claim for your work cover. Yeah.
And some of the states will give you an extra few $1,000s depending.
Yeah, and if you're in New South Wales and you're, unfortunately having to claim JobSaver at the moment as well because your income is down, then there's another 40% plus this 50%. So that's sort of up to 90% of wages that can be covered at the moment.
Nice. And the good thing about this 50% is it will go for a whole 12 months, whereas the 40% is only just for the lockdown period.
For the lockdown period. So so this is the one that you really look at because this has got the 12 months longevity in it. So so we haven't changed our fees for about the last 4 or 5 years.
But you should.
So we're not here to broaden the system or anything extra, and we have payment plans. So we're really working with the business owners just to get their people on and to maximise both ways. So
let me know if that answered your question, Tanya. Actually, a good question here from Millie. So new part-time employees are eligible?
Yes. As long as it's sort of more than that 15.
And that's the thing, is there a set number of hours they need to be doing under the part-time banner?
Yeah, so it's usually 60 a month.
Yeah, so it's average of 15 a week. I think some states it's 13, but 15 is probably safe.
If we say 15 for this webinar, that will be sort of fine.
Yeah, so if you've got new part-timers that have been with you for less than 90 days, then you can get a 50% wage subsidy by putting them on a course.
Yeah, or if you want to move your part-timers up to full-time,
then it doesn't matter. They could have been part-timers for ages.
Yeah.
And you'll still get it. All right, awesome. So how do people actually go about getting this money?
Okay, so basically it's a very simple process. We set you up here with an account manager at the office that will just help you walk through the process. We give you a spreadsheet where you can identify your people. And we basically then, you have a meeting with the apprenticeship centre mob and they do a sign up. And then we get these magical little forms all back in. And then at that meeting you fill out a simple form who applies for that particular person. So this one here is for a person called Sandra. So Sandra's employer would be then filling out a form for Sandra. Each quarter they then put up a claim form. The apprenticeship mob send Sandra's employer a reminder, and then the employer then pops up Sandra's wage slips for the last 3 months. and the government then says, oh, okay, all right, so Sandra earned $16,000, and so she can have, because you can have $7,000 a quarter, so if she only earned $14,000, she'd get exactly half of it back. If she earned $16,000, she'd still get $7,000 put back into the bank account, and if it wasn't quite $14,000 for the quarter, then she'd get half of whatever it was back.
And it's half of the gross pay, isn't it?
Right,
So
yeah.
and half of including the tax, basically.
Yeah, and so then that hops into the bank account, but we've also, on our sheet, we've got it listed so you can even track as to make sure that you've put your claim in for Sandra if you've got a few people.
So we'll help people keep track of all that.
Yeah.
Because once you've put a few people through, it gets a bit messy trying to figure out all this money that you're collecting.
Yeah, no, haven't actually got it back for Fred yet, or Mary or Sally, but yes. But so yeah, well, I'll just quickly show you some of these very quickly. So these have come in the sort of yesterday's. So we've got some new workers and some existing workers. So yeah, this one here is for a Cert for Civil Construction Supervision in Queensland. This one here is a Cert for Civil Construction Supervision in New South Wales. We also had some approvals through yesterday for Western Australia, Victoria and the ACT. Came all through as well. Existing workers, and then we've got some WHS ones. Yeah, this one's here, Cert for WHS, another Cert for WHS in Queensland for those ones. Got some here, Cert for Diploma of Business, came through yesterday. A Cert for Project Management Practice came through yesterday. Diploma of Leadership and Management came through yesterday. So yeah, that was some of the approvals that came through yesterday. And so from different companies, different states that are definitely benefiting out of this program.
A couple more questions.
Yeah.
If an employer is already receiving government incentive for apprenticeships, can they apply for this as well?
Yes. So as long as
not for the same person.
Not for probably the same person. You would need to check with the apprenticeship mob if it is for the same person, because they can be doing two courses.
Yeah,
there is
true.
some stuff.
And I saw one yesterday actually where they were already doing an apprenticeship, but they hadn't claimed this.
Yeah.
So they signed them onto a traineeship, and they were able to claim, but they were only able to claim on half the wages because the centre said, well, okay, they're half an apprentice and half. Anyway, it's a bit messy, but yes, quite possibly you can, and certainly for different people in your business you could.
Yes. So again, I don't make the final rules on that, but I do know employers that have chatted with us before their meetings and to know what questions to ask at those meetings and have got it approved.
Now we have another question, and it's related to the slide actually. Are the courses online or classroom based?
Yeah, okay.
So how does it work?
Okay, so how it works is over the phone. So
that old-fashioned technology.
Yeah, that old-fashioned technology. So it's done as well for the last 16 years, and all our people love having a chat. So basically, it's a one-on-one training program. You get given your own trainer. Your students will have their own trainer that they'll be working with. And then, so there's no workshop attendance or anything needed.
So you don't have to go off to college or anything?
No, you don't have to go off to college. You do need a laptop or a computer. Mobile phones don't cut it. It's just because you've got to actually be able to download documents and things. So we use big fat buttons, very simple things. There is no exams and no essays. Okay, so because a lot of our people weren't, we've got lots of people that have been to university, but we've got lots that haven't as well. And so the most they're going to have to write is 4 to 6 sentences per question for a Cert 4, or 6 to 8 sentences for a diploma.
And if they're not big on writing, what happens?
Okay, if you're really not even big on writing and even that way, the trainers can interview as well if they've got experience there. So it's designed based on working on your company's policies and procedures and systems. So we don't do silly little activities in booklets and things like that. So it's very practical, and the businesses really benefit out of their participants working on their business.
And in fact, you want in terms of the duration and how quickly, you want the course to last for the whole 12 months, don't you? Why is that? Okay,
because we make the course last over 12 months so that you actually get the full 12 months of the wage subsidy. So if your people finish too early, then you'll only get the wage subsidy for, say, 6 months or 9 months. So we sort of pace it out that they do a unit a month. We're looking at tutorials with Zoom as well. They'll also have a completion coach that travels with them during the journey, and our students have just found this so beneficial at the moment that they can talk to them and go, say, I'm having to homeschool the kids as well as trying to work from home and everything at the moment. It's just somebody that goes through with them, brainstorms with them, keeps them motivated and everything. And people have really, really, really appreciated
You've had some pretty good testimonials from that, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
So they get the trainer and then they get a support
person as well, yeah. And then there's always the support from the office staff here. But yes, so if you've got if you're a large organisation, you've got a group of people wanting to do, then we can do group workshops. So whereas we used to be able to come around and do it, on the pictures, we now Zoom in, and so the groups are still together in meeting rooms and dongas and different things, and our trainers just, we Zoom them in. And
what about in those states that groups can't get together? How does it?
So you can still do individuals where we're Zooming into multiple people's homes at the same time, if the companies all want them working together. So I was just talking to another firm just a moment ago from Victoria, and they're looking at having their people, working together with the same trainer.
So if you had a whole bunch of new workers that you wanted to put on a supervisor, like a leadership and management course, or you had a bunch of existing workers doing safety, you could do a group of them together.
Yes, definitely, yeah. And we've got other companies that are asking that can their safety people all try and have the same trainer. So they've all got the same sort of story and things as well. And so, we're trying to be as flexible and meet those needs of those companies.
Good question here from Julie. Hi, I noticed state and federal employees are ineligible. Can you confirm whether local government employees are eligible?
Okay, yeah, council, local government are definitely in and eligible.
They can get it, yep.
Absolutely. And we're working with lots of councils around in all of the different states.
What state are you in, Julie, for your next question? So Julie has asked, can you advise if any of the local government certificates are included in the funding for existing workers? Okay, so
existing workers, the only two qualifications we've got are these are the workplace health and safety and the cert for civil supervision. But with the councils, what we're doing is that they have got people in both their operational works areas and their mainstream main office areas. So some of the mainstream ones are doing the workplace health and safety. In the operational areas, we've got them doing both, and there's only a few extra units to buy to get your local government qualifications as well.
So she's in New South Wales, so she could potentially do the health and safety certificate if she's existing worker, and then choose electives that match the local government one,
and then
do the last few units.
Yes,
so you can do that kind of fiddly stuff for people if they need it.
And we've got in New South Wales, the diploma of local government is approved for new workers as well.
Okay. So if you've got new people
so just chat to us offline about that, because we do program and design programs for councils.
Okay, so there'll be a way, hopefully, that Julie may be able to get funding.
Definitely, really, give me a call so I can chat with you about that one.
Okay, that is cool. Now we've got another question. Can you do 2 courses at the same time, side by side?
Okay, so that is a yes, but you only register usually with one with the apprenticeship centre and then decide to do the other one. So we've got lots of our people, you'll see on our office, is that if they're existing workers, then they need to be looking at doing either that safety or the supervision, but then your electives become project management or business or leadership management. So we've got people doing duals at the same time, and we squash all the units together so that it's minimal.
So it's not like you do like 1.5 courses and you get 2 qualifications.
So it's an extra 4 units or 7 units on top to get the extra second qualification.
But when you're registering for the traineeship, you just register
with one. So we make sure that you only, when you're talking to your apprenticeship centre, just talk what they need to know and then what you're looking at after. So we've also got people doing the apprenticeship centre qualification and then also a higher level qualification with us, and using the dollars to pay for their other levels and things as well.
So it's starting to sound a bit complicated. I don't know if anyone else feels like that.
So it just means that we can work with you to make it a real program for you and your organisation. So,
and you're going to tell them, we've only got a couple of slides to go, and you're going to suggest to people that they basically get in touch, let you know what their situation is, and then you can figure out what they're eligible for, and then they can decide from there, really.
Basically, yes. And we have it all on a Google Drive sheet that we get to share and work together on, and then look at who have you got in your organisation, what type of organisation you've got, who are your new employees, what's going to match them best, and if any of the existing workers that we can fit into the WHS, and anything else that they may like to do. So it really is a very simple process. because we give you somebody here from the organisation that's going to work with you to sort it all out.
So the tricky bit is working out what you can do, which you can do for them.
Yeah.
And then the easy bit's getting the money after that's been worked out.
Yeah, it really is.
Getting the money and the training, I should say.
Training. But the thing that we really want to do is, so I will just go through this. We have a 100% risk-free guarantee until we get these papers. So we work with you and the process of getting through until we get these paperwork back, these approval sheets. You don't pay us anything. And then once we've got that in the enrolment, we have a payment plan scenario, and so that you can then do it. So yeah, you're 100% risk free. You're just working with us. Most companies nominate somebody that will work with our people from here. You get your company approval for the people on, and then you go through the process. And then once it's all through and we're working out your enrolment, then and your training plans, then we actually sort of do if there's to be an invoice, then an invoice then.
So I can imagine, and as an employer who's got some of my people on this as well, one of the things I didn't want to end up with is basically getting stuck paying for a course and then finding I don't get the wage subsidy.
Yeah, so you get all of those approvals through first.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, last thing you just want to say, so where to from here? And people, if you've got any more questions, drop them in now. We'll make sure we answer them before we go.
Yeah, so the other thing I do want to just stress and remind people is that if you've got new workers, you've only got 90 days to get them registered. So please.
Oh, I've got such a cautionary tale about that. I was talking to a guy the other day, and he'd been talking to us for a couple of weeks, going backwards and forwards. And he finally sent his staff list in, and he'd missed out on $76,000 in total in subsidies by 12 days.
Oh.
And we've been talking to him for like 14 days. I was like, oh, so yes, if you've had anybody, what's the date today? The 7th of September or something?
Yep.
So if you've had anybody who's started since about the 7th of June, and if they started in June, full stop, then even if the process gets started, then that basically means that you're eligible. And then you can take your time to actually do all the paperwork to follow it up, can't you?
Yes. And the other thing is that I really am encouraging people, because we have just seen the government change the rules and not update some qualifications and things on their existing workers. So yes, and we've got companies, I've got to go back to multiple companies now. So I was getting approvals through on Friday, and I couldn't get some through on another course on Monday.
Yeah, because if you were here 2 weeks ago when we did this, you would have been talking about this environmental sustainability course
and business
for existing workers, and then as of the end of last week, they're gone.
Yeah, and so some of the companies have got some of their people through, and they can't get the others through because there's been a change now.
So it's changed. I mean, as anybody knows who's living in this world right now, government funding subsidies are like changing every second day, just about.
Yeah, so yeah, really encouraging you to get it in and get it happening. There is a bit of a wait process at the moment as well with the apprenticeship centres. So we are saying to employers, we're here to help get it moving now. Don't leave it until the end, because either potentially it could run out, our trainers could be full, but the government could change the rules as well. But once you're in, it's good to go, and there's no recourse back to you. Okay.
So instructions for people from here are to email that email list and ask for the Google Sheet.
Yeah, ask for the Google Sheet, and then we can just identify people on your Google Sheet, and we can have a chat with you or with them as well. And we'll get you up and running and getting going.
Okay, one last question that I've got here, and then anybody else wants to drop them in. What about casual staff? Are they eligible if they stay casual?
Not usually.
Right, so they have to be moved.
You've got to be moved to part-time or full-time.
Okay, awesome. All right, thank you, Anne.
That's okay. Awesome. So looking forward to working with you. Don't miss out, because these other companies are definitely not missing out, and their employees are really benefiting from the training.
No, that's great. And thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you for your really good questions, and hopefully we can help you get this organised. Thank you. Thanks, people.